Why is Park Hyo Shin's performance of your song awesome? Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. Let's talk about what makes this performance so awesome. Here we go.
하얗게 피어난 얼음꽃 하나가 달가운 바람에 얼굴을 내밀어.
Okay, let's talk about a few things. Number one, what we're seeing with this setting is we notice these big windows, or what are supposed to be windows, with what appears to be an LED screen behind it to the outside. It creates this open, gorgeous, beautiful setting that does what? What's the emotion that it creates for you? Comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And to me, it creates this sense of kind of fall, is kind of the sense I get from it, or maybe even early, late spring going into summer, but this kind of gorgeous, lush surrounding, but that he's inside. He's not outside in it. He's separated from that somehow, from this beauty and from this gorgeous, idyllic setting. He's not necessarily in it, which means to me, he's either remembering it or that he's mourning it or something, right? Now, the other thing that we're noticing is that inside is a lot darker, right? He's wearing a black coat. His hair is black down over his eyes here, which are obfuscating his eyes a little bit, which, think about it. When do you cover your eyes? Well, when you're wanting to hide. Well, why do you want to hide? Well, maybe because you're sad and you're trying to escape and go into your own world. Maybe you're uncomfortable. Maybe you're in pain. These are all kind of things that we associate when people start covering their eyes with their hands, with their hair, with hats. And so what we're seeing is that there's something really vulnerable in this situation, that he almost looks like he came from somewhere else, from an official event, and now he's just all by himself. And so to me, what it communicates is that we have this moment where he might otherwise be hiding this vulnerable emotion, what's going on inside, but because he's alone, kind of in this dark space, that we're getting a window into a private moment. We're getting a window into what's really in his heart. So all these things work together. We don't normally think about them or observe them or analyze them or pick them apart, but they all work together really fast to engage us and locate us in this song. So the question for you is, well, what do I learn from that? What can I take away from it? Well, what can you do to help us locate ourselves, both the who, what, where, when, why, but also emotionally? What is the moment that really captures the music and the text of this song? If you're to really think it through, what fits it like a really well-made glove? That's the moment that you're going to want to try to recreate as closely as possible. You can do it with absolutely nothing and just your imagination and still be very powerful. But the more you actually build it around for the audience, a lot of audiences appreciate that. At least give them little hints here and there of some of those things that you're thinking about. He's capturing what we're seeing in his voice by this softer, breathier sound. It still has a consistent airflow, which is crucial for us hearing it as a professional singing. That professional sound is really tied to that consistent airflow. Most of the time. There's a few exceptions, but for the most time, especially what we're hearing now, is that consistent airflow and consistent placement. His placement's a little further back, which softens the sound. He's relaxed here in front, which softens the sound. He's covering the teeth a little bit with the lips, which is softening down the sound. And there's got a little more height here in back than he does width, which is also adding to warmth and softening the sound a little bit. So those are all things that are contributing to make this whole mood and emotion of relaxed, intimate, vulnerable. Love it.
아무 말 못해도
Okay, something I want to point out here, which is you'll remember with me, the definition of musicality is that no two notes back to back are the same dynamic or duration, but that the underlying pulse stays the same. What? Well, you'll notice neither of them are consistently exactly with each other the entire time. They're lining up for the most part on the downbeat, where they do land with each other on really important moments where they both hit the beat right on, but they're each kind of weaving around it. The pulse stays the same. If you had a click track, that click track would keep going along, but they're either stretching or speeding up through it all the time, so they're kind of weaving around it. It creates this lyric sense and this constant push and pull that is really emotionally potent, really communicates and makes it feel natural, organic, and just makes it feel less contrived. It gets this lyric quality to it, and it's gorgeous. So I love what we're hearing here. And you can see it on their face and their body that they're each having this really deep, authentic connection with the music and the text in their own unique way, but that underlying pulse and the music is keeping them together. It's creating one entire cohesive expression that the audience can then interpret and make meaning from. And so, really lovely, really gorgeous.
차가운 바람에 숨어 있다.
It's all in the back, but really, na 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 na. Still got that really bright forward sound there, right? That warmth in the back, bright forward is gonna make it so it doesn't sound swallowed. Still is resonant, still rich, still stays easy, especially transitions through that upper, higher sound. You'll notice he's not getting tight, he's not getting tense, he's just trusting the consistent airflow and keeping that placement the same. Love it.
한 줄기 햇살에 못 녹이다. 그렇게 너는 또 한 번 내게 온다.
His eyes are closed pretty much the whole time. Normally, I would say that's a problem. It's a problem because the audience wants to see someone's eyes. And even if normally in everyday life we would feel feelings with our eyes closed or be really internalizing it, as a performer, usually we like to do it with our eyes open because it engages the audience more. Now, to me, this is a little different because how they set up this context, like we talked at the very beginning, is first, we have a lot going on visually outside or on the LED screens, but what we're supposed to perceive is outside with these trees and this nature scene, right? Where he's at least where to me it's communicating, is that if he's by himself kind of in the dark, you'll notice the dark suit, the dark lights, everything around him, just a little bit of light coming in through the window, that it's believable that he'd close his eyes. Him closing his eyes actually forces us to then go inside ourselves too. Remember, we're empathetic creatures, especially as audience members. So if we see him go inside himself, we're going to imitate that and do the same. And we have this gorgeous setting there that keeps us kind of emotionally open to what's going on. And so I think it's working. I think it works in this situation. Don't tell my university students that I'm saying this, but I think there's times when we can keep our eyes closed for long periods of time and have it work. 99.9% of the time, nope. But here, I think it's working well.
좋았던 기억만 그리운 마음만 네가 떠나간 그 길 위에 이렇게 남아 서 있다 잊혀진
So as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, okay, what really makes it okay that he's closing his eyes for pretty much this whole song? Well, what I notice as a consistent pattern in trying to teach people different skills and abilities is that we're looking for really strict rules that if we do it, this is right and this means success. Well, especially in the arts, that doesn't always work. So instead, looking for guiding principles is, to me, a more effective way to go about it. And then try to find consistent patterns of things to follow most of the time, but then find exceptions to the rules so that you really understand how it works and when to use it and when not. The principle here that I would suggest is whenever you're watching something, instead of being like, oh, his eyes are closed, that's bad, thinking, okay, his eyes are closed, what's that communicating? 2 is, would it be more effective to my audience and as an audience member if he opened his eyes and showed it with his eyes open? Now, the only way you're really going to be able to tell is if you try it both ways, and if you're the performer, if you video yourself both ways, and as an audience member, choose which one you like. As I'm watching this, I'm really kind of liking it with his eyes closed. I don't think opening his eyes in this situation would be better. Most of the time I would say it's always better, but always is dangerous, right? So in this moment, I think his eyes closed are a lot better. The other thing that I'm noticing here, and I love as I'm watching, is you'll notice that at the piano, he is so active. He is watching, he's listening to what's going on in the music, the emotion. He's having his own experience, and at the same time, so completely focused on the singer and trying to stay connected with him. One of the things that I love best about collaborative work, about working with a really sensitive pianist or orchestra, is this sense of really being connected to someone else and creating something together, where you're each pushing and pulling in that music and expressing yourself, but so intensely listening with your entire body to that other person and what they're doing, that you create something better than either entity can create on their own. And I think that's what's happening here. I love watching this pianist and how intensely engaged he is with the music and with listening to the performer. Love it. So pianist backstory the audience. What's that about? Well, because Park Hyo Shin is supposed to be the center of attention. He's the voice, he's singing, he's the one we're supposed to be paying attention to. And frankly, if the pianist was turned forward, he's so much more active and so much more engaged, and there's more movement, that our eyes would naturally be turned to him. So it's actually really important in this situation that the pianist is turned upstage. He can still be as engaged as he is without drawing our attention away from the singer, but still, because he's doing so much, it adds some visual interest, but our eye keeps coming back to Park Hyo Shin. So I think it's really effective arrangement of people on stage. Love it. Pay attention and listen to how much vibrato is in his sound. Hear that little vibration, that variation in the pitch, just really slight all the way through. Gorgeous. Listen for it. I'm always surprised when I listen to pop singers how much vibrato I'm actually hearing. Can't count how many singers I've come across where like vibrato's bad, it's operatic, it's meh. No, there's bad vibrato, there's good vibrato. We can hear it in any style where it's unhealthy or healthy, or because the sound's being produced well or poorly. Same thing with straight tone. We can hear healthier ways to make straight tone and definitely unhealthy ways to make straight tone without that vibrato. But what I'm surprised here is how consistently I'm hearing it all the way through. To me, it really makes this song sound more vulnerable, authentic, genuine, and add some warmth and richness to it. Imagine a violin, if they're playing with vibrato or without, you notice the little hand moving or not. There's a real difference in the sound and how we perceive it emotionally and what it communicates to us, right? So same thing with what's going on in the voice. Love it. Keep listening for it and see what you think.
눈부시게 빛나던 추억 속에
Notice how bright and pingy that was? It's really resonant right up here in these sinuses, and it keeps that sound so rich and vibrant. Love it. Let's jump back to the idea of vibrato real quick. I had a lesson, and they were asking, and they're trying to figure out how to get more vibrato in their voice. The short answer is this. When the voice is working at its most efficient, when we've eliminated all extraneous tension, we're singing with the most efficient voice, we are going to hear a really shimmery, beautiful vibrato come out. It's a natural phenomena, not one that is created. Now, this is challenging because then it's like, well, I can create vibrato, but I feel like I'm doing it with my throat, or I feel like I'm doing it with my stomach going in and out, or some other way of manufacturing it. That's not what we want. But we can actually release tension and find that vibrato just by giving ourselves permission to make it. Say, body, this is what I want. Then, in that moment, explore. Go overboard. Make fun of an opera singer. Try to make a super wide, wobbly vibrato. Allow yourself to do it and see what happens. Then record it. What I found is the majority of time when a singer doesn't try to make it happen, but just gives himself permission to sing and make fun of an opera singer and see what happens if they make this wobbly vibrato, that they laugh and giggle and think, oh, that's too much. And then they listen back to it and think, oh, that's actually exactly what I was looking for. Oh, but that feels like too much. It feels like too much because you're not used to singing with it. It's not habit. You haven't felt what it's like to sing that way yet. But once you get used to it, it'll feel natural, normal, and comfortable. The other thing is to work with a voice teacher to get rid of the tensions. A lot of tensions we'll find are in tongue, jaw, stomach, breath flow, and a bunch of other places where if we get rid of and get that voice working efficiently, all of a sudden we get this natural vibrato coming out. So that's what we do if we're looking to find that vibrato. Okay, notice, is he moving a ton? No, but it's all relative to the other thing. So he was absolutely doing nothing before, eyes closed, almost completely shut down. As it's getting more intense, his face and his shoulders are getting more intense. That's all we care about. We're contrast junkies. So if he starts at absolutely like shut down, it doesn't take much for us to be communicated with. If he started totally active, then to communicate with us, he'd have to create an even bigger contrast, either by doing a ton less or more. So if you're trying to be an efficient singer and performer, really trying to be deliberate and conscious about the contrasts that you're making, whether they're vocally or with your body, and thinking, what would a real person do in this situation? How would they really use their body? And then try to really just hone on that. You're going to find that you can really communicate a lot without having to be super dramatic. That's fun too. And if the music calls for it, great. But in this moment, I love how there's so much emotion, so much passion behind the music, but he's letting it all happen right here in his face. I think it's really powerful. And because we're not seeing tension in his hands or his body, we know that he's not moving because he's feeling the emotion here, and this is where it's staying, not because he's tense or locked up or tight or stressed or frozen. That's important. If you're tight, tense, frozen, stuck, and there isn't flexibility in your body, then this kind of nuance won't read as nuance. It'll read as stiff performer who's tight and tense. But if you're relaxed, comfortable, open, and free to follow the impulse, and your body's doesn't have any of that frozen, rigid tension in it, then you can get away with a lot with just using your face and your eyes and a little bit of hands. That's all it really has to take. But again, it's all about finding what is it that would be believable for the context you've decided on for the song. Remember, context being who, what, where, when, why of the song. So you hear a lot of these strong, crisp K sounds, these other consonants that are super crisp. Love it. Love how deliberate he's using them. He's using them to be expressive and not just to try to be clear, crisp, or proper, but he's using them to communicate, right? Love it. One of the keys to using really strong consonants is to use them to help you propel that air even further. So there's two ways you can think about it. You can think about k as stopping the airflow, and like that airflow then slows down and just drops to the floor, right? Almost like there's a stream of water coming out and you put your hand in front of it. The water just drops to the floor. Instead, if you can imagine that k actually pushes the air further out of your mouth, like you're taking your hand on a stream of water and it stops it temporarily, but it pushes all the other water further out, you're going to notice that that helps you, that air stay consistent, helps it keep it flowing, and helps you from locking up and getting tight and tense and compressed. So he's using it that way, and it's working really well for him. Love it.
내 손끝에 남은 너의 향기 흩어져 날아가 멀어져가는 너의 손이 붙잡지 못해 아프다 살아갈 만큼만 미워했던 만큼만.
Okay, notice how much he's kind of moving his head a little bit side to side. I think it's being done out of being expressive and communicating, but it's something that you can look for in your own performing. If it stays absolutely still and doesn't move at all, it's probably a sign that you have extraneous tension here in the strap muscles and these muscles going down the sides of your neck. When we're singing, one thing you can do as you're warming up is to keep singing, slowly rotating your head side to side and around, just gently and slowly. If at any point you feel like you can't anymore, it's stop or stuck, then there's extraneous tension in there. You should be able to sing through your entire range, keeping that head moving and nice and relaxed. If you can't, that's fine. Keep working on it just by trying to keep that head moving and keeping it flexible and moving through those notes. It can help you unlock that tension and get rid of it. So it's an effective tool to use either way.
어느 날 너를 데려다 줄게 봄이 오면 그날에 나 비우리라. La 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 la.
Three other great lessons we can learn from this ending. Number one is that when there's that musical interlude, he didn't just like check out and do nothing and wait till his turn to sing again. He stayed engaged in that emotion. Two, la 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 la. What? I have singers come in all the time and they're like, what do I do with this run where it's la 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 la, yeah, 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 yeah. What? It doesn't matter if it's la, nonsense syllables, an alien language, whatever it happens to be, you have to know what you're saying in that moment. If you took all the editing away, all the self-editing and explanations and just said, what am I really thinking and feeling in this moment? That's what we're trying to capture that's coming out of your mouth. So here, what I really love is that it's just like we were watching the rest of it. That la 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 is still communicating and saying something to us. The way to think about it is that the words aren't sufficient. They aren't enough to communicate what they're trying to say. And so they want to express themselves. They want to put it out there, but it's just a la 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 because it's so intense. It goes beyond words. Final thing here is at the very end, they didn't rush into ending it and having the piano stop and then like, okay, we're good now. And no, they stayed in that moment as long as possible and let it fade out. If it was the general rule of thumb, and I think we've talked about this before in other videos, is wait for at least one full measure of silence before you break the mood of the song or break character. If you'll do that, then that will at least give the audience that much time to savor the end of the song and then be ready to applaud and move on to the next thing. Don't forget to click like and subscribe down below. I'd love to hear your comments. Tell me who you want me to react to next, what you loved about Park Hyo Shin and this performance. If you're looking for someone to help you find your voice, the voice that's easy, comfortable, uniquely yours, both in your singing and in your performing, reach out to me at foundyourvoice.com. You can book a lesson there or see some of the other tools that I have available for you. You can also find me on wizio.com if you want to send me a short video or audio clip for me to give you feedback on. Join me next time when we talk about the next awesome performance.